Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amanda Henley. If we haven't met, happy to see you all here. I am the managing editor at Planet Mainframe, and we've got a great session planned for you today for our virtual user group. Today we're talking IMS, and a couple of announcements before we get started, but we'll be underway very shortly. Just did our introductions. So thank you for being here. This group meets every other month. So if you're interested in other sessions, we are going to be meeting again in April and then in June. So every other month for this group. And then if you have other interests, we've got a Kix and a DB2 themed group as well. So check us out. For our session today, we're sponsored by BMC, and they are actually an annual sponsor of the user group and Planet Mainframe. So we're happy to have them involved and always happy to get some of their experts engaged with our series. After today's session, I have a 2-question exit survey for you just to gauge your interest in the session and what can we do next time. So take a look at that as you're exiting. It's not time intensive, it's 2 seconds. So I appreciate you filling that out. And then, as promised, we're ready to go with our presentation today. So let me introduce you to our speakers. So Sahil Gupta has 16 years experience in the mainframe industry, and he specializes in developing and managing enterprise-level solutions, and is currently working as a senior product developer at BMC Software. And he focuses on designing, developing, and maintaining IMS database solutions. And our co-presenter, Santosh Belgaonkar, is the product developer at BMC Software. He's got 16 years experience and also specializes in IMS with ZOS. So we're excited to have you here today. We're talking about cybersecurity and IMS analytics. And with that, I'm going to stop my share so you can take over yours.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda, for introducing us. Hope you can hear me properly.
I can hear you. Have you started your screen share yet? Because I don't have it yet.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Yeah, please let me know once my screen is visible.
I can see your screen.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll be going video off for the presentation so that I can save some bandwidth. Okay, so yeah, everyone can see my screen, my presentation.
It looks great.
Okay, thank you. So as you have already introduced us, I'm Sahil Gupta. I work as a senior product developer in BMC Software. I majorly work on the DBU side, database side of IMS. And along with me, we have Santosh Belgaonkar, who also works in the IMS side in the BMC. So together we are going to present on the topic, deal with growing cybersecurity risks and do real time and after the event IMS analytics all at the same time. So yeah, let's first understand what is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, as everyone knows, is a process of protecting data, electronic systems, and networks against cyber attacks. But in simple terms, we can say it is a practice to protect our computers from various kind of attacks, which we see later in the slides, what kind of attacks we can have in cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is one of the top threats to the business growth nowadays. Here are some quotes from some of the famous personalities, which shows how important is cybersecurity in this digital world. Like Tim Cook has said, the reality of today from a cybersecurity point of view is, I think some of the top people predict that the next big war is fought on cybersecurity. And one of the FBI director has said there are only two type of companies, those that have been hacked and those that will be. So it shows like how important is cybersecurity in today's world. So now let's see how and why mainframes are still important and relevant in today's world. Still, like we can see, 71% of Fortune 500 companies use mainframes. Mainframes still handle 90% of all credit card transactions in the world. Around 1 trillion business transactions are handled each day by mainframes. Around 60% of data available on internet is stored on mainframes, and mainframes handle around 68% of world's production IT workloads. But have you wondered like how secure is our mainframe? Like how many of us have thought we just pass a compliance audit, so everything must be secure, or the mainframe can't be breached, it's unhackable. Like have we thought like event logs would show any security issue or threat of intrusion immediately? These are some of the examples of a false sense of security that many mainframe professionals have. But the fact of the matter is that mainframe is closer to the internet applications and credit card information than it was ever before. This is precisely the data that the hackers want. So now you might be asking a different question, just how secure one mainframe is. The mainframe platform holds the most important data in your enterprise and is known as the most secureable platform on the planet. But just because it is the most secureable platform on the planet doesn't mean that every mainframe is fully secure. We just you used to lock up the terminals, stop the control regions earlier at night, and just hide the manuals. Those tactics to secure the mainframe don't apply anymore. There have been incidents where mainframes have been hacked and breached, and those incidents are bound to increase with the growing proximity of internet with the mainframes. Here we can see two of the examples where the mainframes have been hacked. Like in 2008, LensCrafters suffered a mainframe breach where nearly 60,000 employees' records were exposed in the US headquarters in Ohio. And in 2012, the co-founder of the private Pirate Bay and a prominent hacker, Vorg, he actually hacked the CSE mainframe and stole hundreds of thousands of data of Danish people with their social security numbers and other personal information, which was stored in the mainframe. So likewise, there are other also examples where mainframes have been hacked, and we cannot say like mainframes cannot be hacked and they are fully secure. Here are some latest numbers of data breach investigation from 2024 done by Verizon. They show like 68% of all breach includes a human element, which involved like people involved with either via error, privilege misuse, use of stolen credentials, or social engineering. 32% involved ransomware and external factors, and 29% involved errors, and 15% involved a third party. The three primary ways in which attackers access an organization are stolen credentials, then phishing, and then the exploitation by vulnerabilities. Hence, here are one more important to note is attacks involving exploitation of vulnerabilities almost tripled from the last year, 2023, and the main entry point of these attacks was web applications, as one can imagine. Here are some more numbers which shows the cost involved if any industry is breached or hacked. For instance, like this was a number $4.88 million, which is roughly 10% higher than the last year, 2023, which was a global average cost of data breach. Around 70% of organizations experience a very significant disruption to the business because of a breach. In US, only around $3.96 million was a total cost of data breach. and the average cost of a malicious insider attack was around $4.99 million. And we can see in around 194 days was the mean time required to identify a breach in 2024. Here are some industry numbers. We can see most of the industry sectors have faced an increased cost of data breach compared to the year 2023, with healthcare on the top, followed by financial sector, then the industrial sector and technology, and likewise. Apart from healthcare sector, other sectors we can see there's a growth in the cost of data breach, uh, and most of the numbers are like in millions of dollars. So security breaches are expensive to your business, both dollars and reputation. Once we lose information to hackers or thieves, how do we get it back? We cannot get it back actually. So the best is to prevent it before it happens. BMC also does a survey every year, and here are the numbers from BMC's mainframe survey, which also highlighted the focus on compliance and security. In a fifth year in a row, compliance and security is at the top with 62%, and roughly 43% of the customers have built dedicated capabilities to protect themselves against the ransomwares, and 29% are planning to do that. So here we can see SIM, which is uh, a system that feeds us SOC, which is Social Security Operations Center, for everything on the slide but the mainframe. The mainframe is at every 3 minutes, and in some cases only a nightly feed. That leaves the door open for undetected breaches. IMS feeds might be even longer than the mainframes, and maybe once an hour or even once a day. So we need IMS to feed real-time events to SIM2 so that we can actually detect what is going wrong, and we can prevent the hackers to actually hack the mainframes as that can be done. So here in this example, we can see the schedule feeds are like every 3 minutes to overnight updates with the ZOS event messages. But the other things, they are actually in the real time feed. So, why cybersecurity? What are the consequences of cybersecurity breaches? So cybersecurity breaches can have many consequences, like they can have financial loss, they can do reputational damage, like operational disruption. So businesses may lose customers and revenue, tarnish their reputation and brand, or even face lawsuits and litigation. Another concern is that various rules and regulations required companies to maintain baseline levels of cyber security also. So if and when a breach occurs, because those levels are not met, companies are subject to significant fines, fees, penalties, and even punitive consequences. So here are some examples of like what kind of cybersecurity threats are there. Like malware, phishing, and ransomware are the most common ones. But let's go one by one to learn like what kind of cybersecurity threats are there. The first is a malware. So malware is defined as a kind of a malicious software which can be a spyware, a ransomware, viruses, or even worms. According to a survey done by Accenture, the average cost of malware attack is around $2.6 million. I think it was done in 2023 year. And phishing is in phishing actually criminals send malicious emails that seem to come from legitimate resources, and the systems can be hacked that way also. Spear phishing is a more sophisticated form of phishing attack in which the cyber criminals target only privileged users such as system admins or C-suite executives. Then ransomware is a kind of a malware attack only in which the attacker logs or encrypts the victim's data and threatens to publish or block access to data unless a ransom is paid. And then is advanced persistent threats, which is also is a short form of APT, is a sophisticated and stealthy cyber attack in which an unauthorized person gains access to a network and remains undetected for an extended period. SQL injection is a type of cyber attack that targeted databases by exploiting vulnerabilities and in SQL, which is structured query language statements. This can lead to unauthorized access to sensitive data, data manipulation, or even full control of the databases server also. So let's proceed further to know about the SIEM, which is Security Information and Event Management Solutions, which can be a Splunk, IBM QRadar, SolarWinds, or Logarithm. It actually collects, manages, and analyzes security informations and report on those events. So using a SIM to monitor system and databases changes is critical to preventing or limiting the damage from malicious actors, uh, whether they come from inside or outside our organization. So here we can see the SIEM does all these functionalities, the log collection, log analysis, event correlation, log forensics, log monitoring also. And it does the reporting, it shows the information on the dashboards, do real-time monitoring and user activity monitoring also. So the world still depends upon the IMS. Why IMS is still important? There's lot going on in the IMS at any moment in every place. In 2013, IBM announced that IMS had reached a revolutionary benchmark of 117,292 transactions per second. Nothing else comes close to that actually. That is around 528 transactions per year for every single person on the planet. So it becomes clear why IMS is becoming more and more target of devious access. So not just terminals accessing IMS, growth in IB banking is happening in the mobile and personal banking components. Things like instant payment systems, real-time services, instant billing are increasing the amount of transactions processing every day. The mainframe and the IMS is where the data resides. And by providing access to all different kinds of systems and interfaces, uh, the potential for unauthorized access is increasing. Like no longer we can see there are screen terminals used to access logged in a secure area. A smartphone or a web browser is now potential user, or we can say it's abuser also, because they are the target of the hackers. So IMS is more connected than ever it was earlier. So more connectivity is very good news, but like IMS now over around 50 years old continues to preserve, persevere, and perform very well in the modern world. But there's a drawback to it, and the drawback is that more access points to IMS services and data provide more opportunities for malicious access. Here we can see that the IMS systems like today are connected to TCP/IP clients also. We can access it using SOAP gateways also using Lotus, WebSphere, DB2 also, other networks. So there are a lot of ways we can access the IMS nowadays. So it is going to be more than ever. There's a need to secure it. So with this small introduction on cybersecurity and how it can affect mainframes and IMS related businesses, like now I will hand over the presentation to Santosh to talk further on this. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sahil. Let me share.
And Santosh, you're volume is just a little lower if you can improve your microphone volume.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Or is still low?
Yes.
Is it okay? Or still?
Yes, I can hear
Is
you.
okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Uh, s- uh, so far, we have looked at how mainframe uh, integrates into our daily lives and the significant roles of IMS within it. Now let's see how organizations can address cybersecurity issues within IMS and how they can ensure compliance with regulations. Real-time monitoring. To ensure security, we must uh, take immediate action once we detect a threat or any suspicious activity. And for this, we must get real-time alerts about such activities. If there is no real-time alert, then there would be delay in the response. And by the time we take action, it might have caused significant damage. This might result in financial and reputational loss to the organization. And many regulatory requirements mandate real-time monitoring and reporting of security incidents, and failing to meet these requirements can result in penalties. Uh, Now, if there is a fraudulent event, and then we'll have to go through IMS logs to figure out what exactly happened. But IMS logs are very massive because IMS logs almost all activities like insert, update, delete, etc. And IMS use this information for restart and recovery purposes. So it could be very difficult to find a specific record uh, you are looking for from these logs. Uh, the slide shows here the sample IMS log file. We can see that these logs are difficult to read and comprehend. It requires expert level knowledge to interpret information present in the logs. One needs to know type of log record, different fields in the log record, format of fields, and then map the data. So what is the solution? Here comes into picture the role of data extractor and analytics engine. The slide shows how we can implement cybersecurity for real-time processing. In this diagram, there is a IMS control region which interacts with IMS database. And there is a data extractor, which extracts the data from IMS control region. It filters out the required records as per the user interest, like type of IMS log record to be extracted, database activities like insert, updates, etc., and specific fields to be extracted. Extractor Data extractor converts the data into different formats like JSON format or CSV format, and this formatted data is sent to analytics engines. The analytics engines will show this data in a graphical format, which makes it easier to understand and analyze. Also, users can create rules in analytics engines to trigger alert on specific conditions like any security violation or any specific event. Analytics engines can also use this data for the machine learning or artificial intelligence as well. Data extractor also generates reports which could be useful for analysis of any issues detected. In some cases, we might need to do after the event processing. The slide shows after the event processing. So in this case, like instead of real-time data from IMS controlled region, we can use IMS logs, like system log datasets. The data extractor can use these logs and process the records in similar way as we discussed earlier for the real-time processing. So it will process the data and send it to analytics engines and also creates the reports. Post-event processing can be very useful for audit and compliance purposes. By analyzing these reports, we can detect potential instances of fraud and non-compliance. This slide shows different data extractors and analytics engines. Data extractor examples are ThinkSort, IronStream, BMC AMI data stream for IMS, and analytics engines are like Splunk, Elasticsearch, BMC AMI Command Center, etc. When we talk about security, there are some IMS log records that we can consider for monitoring, like X10, X16. The slide shows IMS log record X10 security violation. This log record indicates that IMS detected a security violation. It tells the exact nature of violation, like if it is a terminal or program related violation. It also has the information about IMS ID, VTIME node, transaction code, user ID, etc. Similarly, IMS log record X16 tells about sign-on and sign-off activities. This record contains fields like IMS ID, user ID, timestamp, etc. From security point of view, we need to monitor database updates, inserts, deletes, etc. But apart from this, we also might need to monitor database read activities as well. Sensitive data information like bank details, card details, or personal information needs to be protected from unauthorized access. Monitoring the read activities for such sensitive databases is very important. IMS keeps log of activities like insert, update, delete, etc. But it does not log any read activities. We will need to use a data extractor tools for monitoring such read activities. Uh, the slide shows screenshot from analytics engine showing read activities provided by real-time IMS data extractor. It shows database accesses across various databases like banking database, customer database, etc. Uh, we can see the number of reads and more details when we click on particular database. On the right side of the screen, it shows statistics for the different read activities from the LPAR, specific LPAR. In this case, there is a single LPAR shown. At the bottom, we can also see the database read activities of different users for different databases. We can further track the read activities for specific databases like banking database by different users. For instance, user 1 has accessed banking database 3000 times. User 2 has accessed banking database by 1600 times. We would also need to consider monitoring the database update activities. So here is a screenshot showing from the analytics engine where there are different update activities like updates for the banking database, updates for loan database, and like the previous screen on the right side, we can see the updates activities from a different LPAR. Here we can see the three different LPARs here. active transaction from 3 different LPAs. And at the bottom, we can see the updates by different data by users. Uh, in this slide shows example of update statistics by different transactions, like a deposit transaction for banking databases 7200 updates. Similarly, there are 4995 updates for customer database by update transaction. We can also configure analytics engine for specific security violation as shown in the screen, like password not defined, or user ID or transaction not defined, or user access revoked, etc. Now, if we click on specific violation like password not defined, it will show detailed information. So we can see details like IP address, date and time of event occurred, type of error like password not defined or user not authorized, transaction code, VTM node, etc. We would also we might also consider monitoring activities by IMS user IDs or sign-on terminals. Like in this slide, it shows activities for user IDs like user one, user two, etc. It shows the count of events or activities, and the detailed information will be can be seen by clicking on the particular user. Similarly, on the right side, it shows the statistics for different terminals. We can also set alerts for a specific violation or a specific IMS activity. Uh, the slide shows analytics engine configuration to set alert when there are multiple password violations within a span of 1 minute. The thread ZIMS log messages is specific to password violation in this case. Threshold is selected as 1 and time interval is 60 seconds. So if there are more than one violations in 60 seconds, then it would raise an alert. So this slide shows like how that alert looks like. So it has the details like the date and time, and then we can see the further like related violations by clicking on the link on the right side, like related messages or the details of further. Now let's talk little bit on the compliance part of our topic. Organizations must comply with government set regulations. So there are different regulations for different sectors like banking, healthcare, and other regulations. PCI DSS, this is the payment card industry data security standard, which protects customers' financial information. HIPAA, HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Similarly, there is a GDPR. So these are different regulations. We can use analytics engines for adherence for these different types of regulation. Like the slide shows a dashboard for PCI DSS, the payment card industry data security standard, which is used for validating the data as per the different rules defined for this regulation. Different tabs on the screen shows different rules created for this validation. Like one rule here is not to use default password or security parameters. When we when we click on this rule, it will show the detailed information. Here it shows the count for messages validated and the past statistics for the messages. Like today's message count is 5313 messages. Uh, it shows the current uh, status of the item. Like it indicates the whether it is validation is successful or failed. In this example, it shows it is okay, so it is successful. On the right side, it shows the detailed information about the messages it has validated. Like in this case, it is showing the log record X03 message. So these kinds of validations would help organizations to comply with regulation. Also, the reports generated by data extractor would be helpful for adherence to compliance and regulation. Data extractor can generate reports that document security violations and sign-on, sign-off events. The report in the slide shows different security violation events occurred, like user or transaction not defined to RACF, password not defined, user access reward, etc. These records also contain information like the timestamp of event occurred, VTAM node, user ID, IMS ID, etc. This information would be very useful for identifying any issues that might have occurred. Also, by analyzing these reports, organizations can identify any irregularities or potential issues within the system, and organizations can implement appropriate security measures based on these reports to ensure compliance and regulatory adherence. This slide shows the same mainframe file, what we saw in the previous, but it is converted to Excel format. Like it shows the Excel format has better readability to users, and further users can filter the records based on specific column names like VTM node or user ID, etc. So that's all we wanted to cover in this session. So if anyone has any questions, please let us know.
Thank you. If you have any questions, you can put them in chat or you can come off of mute and ask them directly.
Yeah, can I ask where are these analytics engines usually housed? Can one house them on a mainframe, or are they typically within a server farm, something like that?
So like if I show, just let me go to the previous slide. Okay, so there are two parts. One is the data extractor, another is the analytics engine. So the one will need to use the one data extractor tool to extract data from the mainframe. And this data extractor will filter the record based on the whatever the filter criteria set by the user, like specific IMS log record, and then or specific fields they want to extract, and or particular database, and that filter data that will be in a JSON or CSV format, and then that can be sent to the analytics engine, and this can be like Splunk or Elasticsearch or anything. So this will be outside mainframe, and this part will be in an inside mainframe.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I'm going to take over the screen share, and if there are any other questions while I'm wrapping us up, please feel free to drop them in chat or come off mute and you can interrupt me during our session. So one moment, please. Please current share. Well, I do want to thank our speakers today, Sahil and Santosh. Thank you so much for your session on security risks. I want to segue this in a minute to a little bit of a data preview, but If you aren't familiar with it, Planet Mainframe produces the Arcadi Mainframe Yearbook. And this is a publication that we started producing last year after working with Trevor Eddles, who had been producing the Mainframe Yearbook for many years. So our 2025 iteration is the Arcadi Mainframe Navigator, and it's got a couple of great sections in it. I just want to bring your attention to. It has a some strategic resource papers that you can read. It has our 2025 Arcadi Mainframe user survey, and it also has a directory of vendors in the mainframe space. So what I've put up on this screen for you is some information about getting your company listed in the mainframe directory. If you don't think you're already there, you can go to planetmainframe.com/Arcadi or Arcadi-2. That will get you there. And it's very simple to get a free listing in our mainframe vendor directory. And you can choose to upgrade it if you wish, but for the most part, the listing option itself is free. We are going to be releasing this report in the next 2 weeks in conjunction in part with our presence at Share. So if you are not yet in the directory, please go and submit your information for it. And then I pulled a little bit of data from our mainframe, from the Arcadi mainframe user survey. And I wanted to just highlight that IMS is the third most popular database solution according to our respondents. And on theme for our session today, the top IT risk areas are data breaches, and 4 of these top 5 have to do with security. So data breaches, ransomware attacks, compromised credentials, and insider threats are the biggest things that people are worried about as far as IT risk. So I thought that it was pretty interesting looking at our research this year to see that emphasis on security, because, like we talked about today, but the mainframe is billed frequently as the most secure platform, but security is a very real issue. So wanted to give you a little bit of preview for this user survey. We're going to be releasing the full user survey, and then if you're attending Share in a couple of weeks, you can get a copy of our top 10 findings by visiting our booth. So do check that out. To connect with us, we are on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also get our videos, transcripts, and presentations. And I want to thank our speakers today for providing their presentation for us to post online. So you can check us out on all these platforms. We'd love to connect with you. I think I'd say LinkedIn has got the best engagement for having a conversation with someone about IMS online. I want to thank BMC before I go. They have been an annual partner of ours for this series for several years, so I appreciate their continued support. And then lastly, save the date. So our next meeting will be April 8th. Well, Santosh, Sahil, thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of our user group.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.